The roar of 50,000 voices shook the very stones of the Colosseum, a tidal wave of sound that echoed across the city of Rome. Dust rose in the morning light, glittering above the arena floor, where men, once farmers, fathers, brothers, soldiers, stood trembling with nothing but broken swords and rusted shields in their hands. They were not criminals, not traitors, not even enemies of Rome. They were slaves, captives, and the unlucky, forced into the most brutal and inhumane spectacles mankind had ever devised. The crowd was hungry for blood, and the empire was ready to give it to them. But among the trembling fighters was one man, Marcus of Gaul, who refused to bow to despair. He stood taller than the others, his body scarred from whips and chains, his heart still burning with memories of a life stolen from him. As the gates creaked open and wild beasts snarled from the shadows, Marcus clenched his jaw. This was not just about survival, it was about dignity, about not letting Rome crush the last spark of his humanity. If you believe that even in the darkest times there is still hope, kindness and second chances, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to The Gentle Truth. Your support keeps stories of resilience and courage alive. The arena was a theater of cruelty. At times, condemned prisoners were burned alive to amuse the audience. Others were thrown to lions, their screams blending with the roars of the beasts. Sometimes men were forced to reenact great battles, but without honor, without armor, only to be butchered for sport. And then there were the grotesque spectacles, where the deaths of hundreds were choreographed like some twisted play, turning the suffering of humans into entertainment for the masses. Marcus had witnessed it all from the cells below. He had seen boys barely old enough to hold a dagger dragged out and slaughtered in moments. He had heard the sobs of mothers ripped away from their children, condemned for nothing more than being born in the wrong land at the wrong time. Each day he had expected his turn would come, and now it had. The gates burst open. From one side emerged a line of gladiators, fellow prisoners armed only with crude weapons. From the other side, a pack of starving leopards lunged into the sunlight, their golden fur gleaming, their eyes burning with instinct. The crowd erupted with delight, clapping and shouting, demanding death. Marcus raised his shield as one of the beasts pounced. He braced for impact, shoving the creature aside with all his strength. Around him, chaos exploded. Men screamed, blood sprayed across the sand, and the animals tore into human flesh while the audience cheered louder, as if each cry of agony was music to their ears. Marcus gritted his teeth. He would not give them the pleasure of seeing him beg. For what felt like an eternity, he fought, not for Rome, not for glory, but for the memory of his wife and daughter back in Gaul, who had been taken from him when Roman legions raided his village. Every swing of his sword was a vow that he was still a man, still free in spirit, even if chains bound his body. Eventually, silence began to fall. Marcus, bloodied and exhausted, stood among corpses and shredded carcasses. The arena floor was littered with the remains of men and beasts alike. Against all odds, he had survived, and the crowd, drunk on cruelty, began to chant his name. To them, he was not a man, he was entertainment. But in his heart, Marcus felt something different. Survival was not defeat. Survival was defiance. In the weeks that followed, Marcus was forced into more battles. He faced fellow slaves, men who had once shared food and whispered hopes in the dark of their cells. He fought trained gladiators, men raised in the art of killing. He fought chained bears, tigers, and even criminals set on fire as they stumbled toward him in a haze of smoke and flame. Each day was a descent into hell, a reminder of how far humanity could fall when cruelty was celebrated. But Marcus endured. And with each victory, he earned not only the crowd's favor, but also the respect of his fellow prisoners. He became a symbol, not of Rome's power, but of resistance. His eyes told them, "We are more than what they make us. We are not just bodies for their games. We still have souls." Yet Rome's hunger for blood was endless. The emperor demanded greater spectacles, greater suffering. The games became more elaborate. Hundreds of men were sent into the arena at once, ordered to fight to the death. Women were thrown naked to beasts. Prisoners were crucified while the crowd laughed. The line between justice and cruelty had vanished. replaced only by Rome's addiction to violence. One night, in the darkness of the cells, Marcus whispered to the others. "They think they own us," he said. "But every time we fight, every time we endure, we show them that we are still human. They can break our bodies, but not our will." His words spread like fire among the condemned, giving courage where there had been none. The next morning, Marcus was dragged back to the arena for what the crowd expected would be his final battle. A dozen gladiators were pitted against him, each armed and desperate. The sand turned red almost immediately. But Marcus fought not with rage, but with purpose. His every move a declaration that he was still alive. Still defying Rome's cruelty, the crowd roared. But for the first time, some fell silent, watching not just a spectacle, but a man refusing to bow to their inhumanity. In his defiance, they saw something they had forgotten: honor, courage, and the faintest echo of compassion. Though Marcus's story, like so many others, ended beneath the sunlit sands of the Colosseum, his spirit endured. He became more than just a slave forced to fight. He became a voice carried on the whispers of history, reminding us that even in the darkest times, humanity cannot be silenced. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to The Gentle Truth. Your engagement helps keep alive the lessons of history, the stories of resilience, and the belief that cruelty must never again be celebrated. Before you go, tell us in the comments, do you believe courage in the face of cruelty can inspire change, even centuries later? We'd love to hear your thoughts.